Good evening. Celtic 1, Dundee 0. Hearts 1 each in their game, and Rangers, to the shock of absolutely nobody on the panel, finished 2 each with a 96-minute penalty, their equaliser. I think penalty Rangers would have been the least surprising thing of tonight. But look, let's focus on us. We are, albeit slightly behind in goal difference, but we are now level at the top of the table with Hearts. With a game in hand and with the importance of the game at the weekend, taking on extra meaning. And tonight was very much about Martin O'Neill. It was about legacy. It was about the impact he's made, Sean, since returning to the fold, taking on the job under very challenging circumstances, not a positive time in terms of the relationship between supporters and club hierarchy. But he knuckled down. He got to work on the training field. He put some belief back into the players. I think we showed good management in terms of the on-field stuff, albeit a few nervy moments throughout that match. But ultimately, as we keep saying, all that anyone will remember is that we put 3 points on the board tonight, as we have done consistently under Martin O'Neill. He's done some job since taking over, hasn't he? That's to you, Sean.
Yeah, it wasn't a classic tonight. It was. It wasn't a classic game of football tonight. It was some pretty traditional December midweek football. Go back through the years, you see a lot of this sort of game. Dundee came in, put in a good shift, good effort, good physicality, had the low block. We struggled to break it down. Those first 10 minutes in the first half where we came out flying, forced a couple of saves, and one of those saves leads to a rebound goal. And that goal turns out to be the difference on the night. And 1-0 was a 1-0 in a midweek was a real classic Martin O'Neill result back in the day. And that's the sort of thing that happens when you don't have a deep squad and you can't rotate and you're asking players to go back to the well time and time again. Second half, we came out and we started bright enough, but we didn't really have much invention and creativity. It was a lot of balls into the box. There was the Hatate shot that draws a good save from the keeper, and thereafter the only real, I think we can call it opportunity, but the only time we looked like mixing it up at one thereafter was the one time Tenetke hits the byline, and there was just, in the last 5-10 minutes, it was like, yeah, we're back to the wall here, and your heart's in your mouth a little bit. Scales makes a great header clearance from the 6-yard box. Dundee player in injury time puts his header off target, and you're really, like, you're honestly nervous at that point, which is not fun. But as you said, 3 points. We're the only team in the top half of the table tonight that actually picked up 3 points. So it's, in that sense, we've taken ground on all of our rivals, quote unquote. So it's a successful night, even if it was not a classic by any means.
No, and as I say, I think many people are saying in the comments as well. We'll bring up as many comments as we can, but many people say in the comments, not a vintage performance as such, maybe a vintage result, certainly. Kev, I'll come to you. I mean, it's the effect that Martin O'Neill has brought here has been this winning mentality, and actually, when you consider the new manager coming in, Wilfried, he is, he's coming into a squad that is fairly decimated by injuries. It's a squad which definitely needs, reinforcements. Another casualty tonight, Sarachi, we spoke about at half-time, having to be replaced. So he's got a job on his hands, but at the same time, he's coming in to take over a squad which looks like they have belief, that looks like they have a desire to fight. I loved the little bit of aggression at the end there from Benjamin Negrin. They were fighting for every ball. There was that, there is that fight about this squad, which I don't think we saw prior to Martin O'Neill coming in. They look now prepared to go and chase every ball, run for the 90-plus minutes and see the result over the line. Albeit, as Sean said, we maybe got fortunate with a couple of the Dundee chances tonight. But then Maeda hits the post as well at the end, where we could have, made it safe. But ultimately, the job Martin O'Neill's done to prepare this squad, whatever we think of the quality that he's inheriting, the mentality is there, and then the desire to win is there, and you have to give Martin O'Neill and his team credit for that.
Absolutely. I mean, the squad, or the mental state, let's say, of the squad that Martin O'Neill inherited must have been at rock bottom. and in the space of 5 league games, he's turned was that an 8 or 9 point deficit in the league to his now being behind only on goal difference with a game in hand. Had Brendan been in charge, we would not be in this position just now. I don't think we would have won those 5 league games that Martin has guided us through to. He's worked absolute wonders. He's just cast a spell on that team and given everyone the confidence and the self-belief that they are good players. You know, on paper, they are the best team and the best squad in the country, but you don't win games on paper. You win a lot of it in the head, really. It's all about your mentality, and we'd lost it through the previous regime. O'Neill's instilled that belief in the players. And Wilfried Nancy comes in and he's going to take on a totally different group of players to the one that O'Neill did. He's inheriting a group of players he said that they're up for the games now. They're fighting for things. They're not letting anything go. And it's great, isn't it? It's great to be back this way. And it's the Martin O'Neill effect. He's one of my Celtic heroes and one of my idols. So this is a big day because this will be the last time that we'll see him in this sort of capacity at Celtic. I'm so happy that we've won the game. It was not our best performance under O'Neill in terms of the free-flowing football, but it's maybe one that's just summed up everything that he's brought back to us. We had 10 minutes of real class at the beginning of the game where we were free-flowing. There was lots of really good movement. Then we've had the moments where we've had to kind of regroup with Maeda going off, which is just what we've done all season, really, with injuries. And then he's given us that element of fight again. We've dug in at the end, we've held on, and we've got the 3 points. And tonight was all about getting the 3 points. Like me and Liam wanted a 4-0 or a 5-0 win to really round off O'Neill's time. But really, the most important thing was to get those 3 points. And he's done that. He's left us in a fantastic place. And I hope on Sunday, Wilfried can just take us on to that next level. Just carry on what O'Neill's been doing. You know, that the conversations that he'll have with him tomorrow and Friday. I hope he just sits and listens and learns and soaks up all the info from Martin and just carries on from the legacy that he's now left second time around.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely, and it is a hell of a legacy. And the one thing Wilfried Nancy will have discovered tonight, which was a surprise to none of us, is that you need to get these results, Liam, because these 96th and 97th minute penalties for certain teams do happen. And I know that. Listen, I know this is shameless banter our nearest and dearest rivals' expense, but it's the nature of Scottish football. It's not just so much about what we do in the park. We have to also navigate, you know, the fact that there are going to be decisions, there are going to be circumstances that don't go your way, and it's all about being able to put yourself in a position where those decisions don't matter. And Martin O'Neill is a master of doing that. And what we hope is that Wilfried Nancy will learn very, very quickly that it's very important that we do our business on the pitch and take any decisions away from any other factors.
Yeah, I've seen enough interviews and archive footage of Wilfried Nancy in the last couple of weeks to suggest that he knows exactly what he's coming into. He's got, remains to be seen if he's going to be the manager we want, but he's got the right mentality, he's got the right approach. I would suggest anyone who hasn't seen it yet, watch his sort of mini rant when a journalist refers to him as an underdog. He doesn't take kindly to being called an underdog, and it was exactly what I like to hear from an incoming Celtic manager. And as for the other mob, well, look, we've got Hearts and Rangers both dropping points tonight. They both seem to be in a race to the bottom. Which one of them do we call the Diets now? Because I'm genuinely confused. Right. No, but in all seriousness, it's just they will do what they do, but as long as we keep doing what we've been doing lately, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's all in our hands now. It wasn't in our hands when Martin O'Neill came in, and he's put this league championship back in our hands. We beat Hearts at the weekend, and then if we just keep getting results, we will win the league. And that's Martin O'Neill has created that position for us. And I know we talked before the game about the concerns. Do we really want the new manager to come in? His first game is such a big game. But think about it this way: maybe Nancy himself has said, do you know what? I want to make a statement. Give me the big game in my first match. Let me come in and show you what I can do. And if we come out and blow Hearts away at the weekend, which I hope we will do, I'm not assuming we're going to, but I hope we do. Do that and then get a cup final over the line a week later. The new man is in the door and he's got plenty of credit in the bank, and we haven't even played Rangers yet.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it is. It's there's an interesting comment comes in here, and I want to take a minute. It's a great one from AJSC Tech. O'Neill takes us back to the top in both tenures, and listen, it's there's passion behind that, but it's a statement of fact. He's came in and he's addressed the slump that I think we were in, Sean. What is it, do you think? I mean, you remember Martin O'Neill from his first tenure as well as this tenure,
Sure do.
but what is it, in your opinion, that Martin brings to the table, and what can Wilfried Nancy, for all his own qualities and what he'll bring to the table, but what can he take from what Martin O'Neill's done to really keep this momentum going?
Well, what Martin O'Neill brings, he says it himself, to be fair. Like, he's self-aware enough to know what he brings, and that's, to give players some confidence, put arm around the shoulder, all the old classic proverbs around what used to be what's called man management, euphemistically speaking these days. He was never a tactician in his first time, and it appears like he's not particularly a tactician the second time. Nothing has changed about our tactics other than a bit more effort, a bit more confidence, a bit more belief from the players that are executing them. We're still playing the high press. We're still playing it across the midfield. For the first couple of games, like the 4-0 game against Falkirk, we were making a concerted effort to switch the ball more, but that seems to have gone out of the team a bit now. Either that or the opposition have kind of picked it up and nullified it, but we're switching it less now. So I'm not sure that there's much tactical change going on. I think it's just more man management. Nancy, as Liam mentioned, is making the right noises, and he's coming in sounding like a very confident manager. When I was listening I just looked at Celtic posted a little snippet of his interview there over Teams or whatever, Skype, whatever one it was, and he does come across as very confident, like that. He doesn't seem overawed. He doesn't feel like the way he's communicating is not like, this is a big opportunity for me, and it's just like, I recognise Celtic's a big club, and I'm happy to be here to take this big club to better places. Kind of vibes. So it doesn't seem like he's someone who's going to be grateful to be appointed in the showers, if you know what I mean, that sort of thing. He seems like he knows he's a good manager, and whether that pans out in Scotland is a different kettle of fish. We'll find out. But it's been, what is it, over a month since Brendan Rodgers resigned? What was it, end of October or something like that? So
27th, I think it was October. Was when it.
Yeah, so like 5 weeks. When they had one manager in mind apparently, and it took them 5 weeks to get him, even though he didn't even have any active football happening with Columbus Crew. So yeah, that doesn't fill me with much hope that our squad is going to be augmented on the 1st of January. And we're about to lose at least, I reckon, our 2 left wingers we're going to lose on the 15th after the cup final as well, 15th of December, when they go off to the African Cup of Nations. And maybe Nacho might go as well. So we could be 3 players light up front in what is already not a overwhelmingly deep position of the pitch. So concerning in the board, still very concerning, and try and be positive about Nancy, but get the finger out. I guess is the message. Do your jobs, or hire someone who can do them, because you're not doing them well.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, I think it's look, we're grateful to have Wilfried coming in, have the new manager in place. It's great that we know the future. I think there are many people, Kevin, that would have liked to have seen Martin O'Neill stick around, but I think what we're seeing now that it's been confirmed is a lot of people prepared to give Nancy the support and the backing. But Sean's right; it can't deflect away from a lot of what we've spoken about this season. Poor processes, things behind the scenes, maybe not being as efficient as he should be for a club our size and of our stature. And the hope is that there will start to be some actions, less conflict between the fans and the board, and actually more of let's focus on getting things right on the pitch for the new manager, focus on January, trying to rebuild this squad into the shape that it needs to be, not just for the remainder of this season, but going into next seasons. What in your mind, Kevin, what's the first thing that Wilfried Nancy's got to do now with this squad as he heads into January? We know he's got to get through these next couple of fixtures. The Hearts one probably, in a cup final, probably the two that are of highest priority. I think we would not necessarily throw the baby out with the bathwater over a European loss against Roma. Maybe the manner of the performance would still be under scrutiny. But what are the big challenges facing Nancy with this team at the moment? What's he got to resolve as soon as possible?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think in terms of the biggest challenge he's going to face, it's looking at that squad of players and figuring out if he's got the right group for the style of football that he wants to play. Because I'm not sure that he does. If he wants to play three at the back, I think we might struggle to have three centre backs that we can play at the back. If he wants to play wing backs, one of them's just gotten himself injured tonight, and as Sean said, the majority of our attacking options are going to go away to the African Cup of Nations in December, January. So he's not going to have these troubles to seek when he comes in. The benefit that he's got is that he is taking in a team that's now back on the up and is full of confidence. But probably, I don't know, if Wilfried wants to take any advice from me, it would probably be let's just try and keep things as they are for the time being. Don't try and change things too much too soon, because we've finally kind of got ourselves in a bit of a groove again. So for me, I think he has to do a bit of gradual change and look to implement his style of football in over a period of time and not just straight away. But then beyond that, when he comes in, it's a baptism of fire. It's Hearts at home. But we're playing against the side that's top of the table. That's unusual. Normally the opposition that's coming to Celtic Park to play against the side that's top. So that's a challenge. He's got to try and get us back there. He's got to try and win a cup. And then you look at January. And again, like Sean said, given the length of time it's taken us to get our single managerial target in, do we have players lined up that are going to come in the first week or two of January? You're not going to be overly confident that we do. So then I think that presents another issue for him. But listen, as the last comment that you just put up there says, we as a support just need to get behind him. He might not have been everyone's first choice, but he's in there now. He is our manager now. We've just got to support him, get behind him, and to go back to a phrase from before, trust in the process, because I think he'll be a manager that has his own process, his own style, and he'll want to implement it. So, welcome to Celtic, Wilfried, and I wish you all the best. It's not going to be an easy ride, but we've got confidence in you.
Yeah, and it's never an easy ride when you come into Celtic, I think in any role, but Liam, look, he said, he's not, as Sean's rightly pointed out, he's not saying that, this is a big opportunity for him and blah, 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 and towing the line. And I think, anyone that's done their research on him, I know you have as well, it's, he is quite a combative manager. He fights his corner. He, I don't think he accepts when things aren't going the way that he expects. And you need that strong mentality at this club. And I think, that's, Martin O'Neill maybe approaches it a slightly different way, but from everyone we've spoken to, when they talk about Martin O'Neill, from players to ex-staff members and people who are around him, very much a personality in front of the camera, very different when he got behind the scenes, and wouldn't be afraid to tear strips off of players and officials alike. Wilfried Nancy needs to embody some of those characteristics at this club, because with the greatest of respect to the MLS, and I'm not talking about the standard of league here, but I don't know if there's a club at the MLS that comes with the same set of expectations that Celtic do. And what he's going to have to do is really show that the strong, the strong character, because I think by showing the strong character, he'll get the fans on side very, very quickly.
Yeah, and it's been interesting actually watching the saga of the manager coming in unfolding, because a few years ago when we were looking to bring in Ange, and a lot of people were very critical of the standard of Japanese football and Australian football. Being where I am in the world, I was quite defensive of both, but particularly the J League. And I'm reading a lot of similar stuff now about the MLS. Now, I don't watch the MLS. I'll freely admit I don't watch the MLS. I didn't know who Wilfried Nancy was until a couple of weeks ago when it became clear he was probably going to be our next manager, and I started looking into it. And I said since then, I like what I've seen of the guy. But I would just say to anybody who is saying, and I don't want to be negative, but anybody who's saying like, oh, the MLS is a pub league, whatever, I'd be like, look, it's ranked better than the Scottish League is at the moment. You can argue about the validity of those rankings, whatever. It is ranked above Scotland. Yeah, there you go, right? But I just think that when I hear that kind of response, like, oh, it's a pub league, whatever, I'm just hearing the same nonsense that I hear from folk in England who think that their financial freakery down there is the best league in the world. It's the best monetized league in the world, no question about that. It's the best marketed league in the world. It's not the best standard of football. And I think that let's not look down on other leagues the same way England look down on us, please. I don't care what country's league Wilfried Nancy came from. He's our manager now, and I believe he'll do a good job. If even half of what he was doing at Columbus translates to Celtic, we're going to be all right. He took a team that were 17th in the MLS and made them title contenders. That'll do for me. That'll do for me.
That'll do for me as well, yeah. I think it's good points, and I'm loving the positivity for the new manager. But of course, tonight was all about another man, Sean, and that was Martin O'Neill. And it was, as we've said, it wasn't a vintage performance, albeit it was very much in line with, just getting those results and getting those 3 points on the board, and something that Martin O'Neill was very good at. But there was a couple of notable performances tonight, and I think it's been indicative of what Martin O'Neill has brought. One man that we've spoken about who seems to have rediscovered a bit of form, and that certainly the attributes that we came to love is Daizen Maeda. Now, didn't get on the score sheet in the second half, but I thought there was a moment in that second half which really exemplified what Daizen Maeda brings to the table, which I don't think any other player either within or out with Celtic brings. And I think it was around about the 76th minute when Dundee are countering. And Daizen Maeda, bandaged head, half an eye closed, and he gallops back into midfield and he wins the ball. And I don't know if there's another player, even out there in the market, that offers you that type of quality within a team. And when you've got a new manager coming in, you're looking at that thinking, wow, that's an asset. That's someone that can help me really, implement my ideas and, look what he brings to the team. Nancy must be looking at Daizen Maeda and thinking, I want to keep you, surely.
Yeah, but there's a lot more nuance to that backstory. Obviously, Daizen Maeda is a sought-after player. He's coming into his peak years, or is in his peak years right now, you would argue. So it probably is the right time to sell if we do want to get a return on him. If he wants to stay and keep contributing to success, then we'd love him to stay. But that's not the stories that have been circulating. The stories is he wanted to go 6 months ago. And he's still here reluctantly, but he's still since O'Neill's came in, he's raised his effort a little bit, a big bit, I guess. He's got the World Cup in his sights. Yeah, he tracked back well tonight. He played through a probable concussion, and then in the 92nd minute of the game, he rattles the post in what was probably our only clear-cut chance of the second half. So yeah, that he got man of the match the weekend as well. So he's been a bit of a standout in two not great games of football where we've picked up 6 points across the two games, and where you wouldn't have much confidence that we would have picked up those 6 points if they'd taken place in October. So there are a lot of positives in that sense. Martin O'Neill is absolutely flogging this horse to make it run towards for the moment, but it really that's what it is. It's really struggling at the moment, and we really need a bit more. Daizen Maeda is a left winger, and we're currently absolutely reliant on him up front. Johnny Kenny did not see the pitch at any point.
No.
And if our squad was in better shape, Daizen Maeda would have been off in that 12th minute of the game. Do you know what I mean? It would have been, if we had a good squad, good depth of quality, you would have been looking at it and going, oh, he's played a lot of football. We've got a top of the table clash on Sunday. He's just taken one to the face and probably has concussion. Let's take him off and bring on our backup striker. And in the past, that would have been like Kyogo, Yakimakis, and Ida. Pick one of those as your player that was coming off the bench. And instead, we're looking at the bench and going, actually, do you know what? Johnny Kenny cannot do it at a home game against Dundee. And that is the respected opinion of some well-respected football coaches and managers. So that's you can say, oh, what do you know, Sean? You're just sitting here on a podcast. But it's not my opinion. I'm just saying that, well, it is my opinion, but I'm just echoing the actions of more learned people. And, I get we're full of injuries. We've got Jota long-term, and Nacho's been out for a bit. Osman's out long-term. So, but it's poor squad management.
Yeah. No, I think they're fair comments. I mean, I think whether we feel Johnny Kenny is capable of leading the line or getting off the bench, the fact is that he didn't, so you can't argue with the fact that he didn't get off the bench. And I think, this is a real problem, Kev, isn't it, that we have, we don't have the game changers that we want to have on the bench. I mean, I appreciate we've got Benji Negrin on there who came on. He's been our top scorer. We've had Sebastian Tanecki come on and always looks a willing runner, but just as you said at halftime, not really having the end product at the moment. And we're badly missing the quality of a Jota. We're badly missing the innovation of a Nick Kuhn and the persistence, that pest nature of a Kyogo up there. These are big losses, and there's a big onus now on January to say, look, we have to try and get more quality in to support the new manager's ideas. There might be very well an effect from Wilfried Nancy, similar to Martin O'Neill. He may get, some real purchase out of the players that's there. But we're papering over cracks in the squad, and we do need to get serious reinforcements done in January. Any faith that the club and the processes that sit behind recruitment will get it done?
Do you know what? When Sean was listing those players, Kyogo, Yakimakis, Ida, always been your second choice striker, and now it's Johnny Kenny, who we don't trust to bring on against Dundee. Blood begins to boil at that list. I mean, that's a managed decline if ever there was one in squad strength and quality, and it's been done by the guys that we're going to trust to go into the next January transfer window. So I guess the short answer to your question, Chris, is no. I don't trust them. I don't trust them that they'll get it right. But at the same time, as a fan, I've got to have a wee bit of blind faith somewhere that they'll turn something up. Or we hope that Wilfried Nancy uses his knowledge of markets that we've been unfamiliar with in the same way that Ange did, and he can pull out a few rabbits from the hat, then get us a few players from the MLS. But then we've got to hope that they hit the ground running. So no, I've not really got the confidence in the board. Again, Sean's pointed out it took them 5 weeks to get their single solitary target in the door as manager, a man who was not managing a club through any games at that time. How could we not have got that done earlier? It baffles me. So no, not a great deal of confidence in them. But as I say, as a fan, I suppose that there is always that element in me that hopes against hope that this is the transfer window where they knuckle it down and they get it right. And Paul Tidsdale's spreadsheet of data and players pulls some good eggs out there. But we'll wait and see on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then somebody's made the point here, Graham Martin, which I actually quite like. The point says he thinks Nancy only accepted the job because assured he might get the signings or at least the support he wants. And yeah, maybe he has had certain assurances. And we know delays can happen on both sides. I think our problem is that there's so many precedents set, there's so much evidence to show from player transfers to other processes, from CEOs or directors of other clubs calling us out for our processes, that it's hard to take a blind view of that. We have to take that into consideration. Something else that was evident today, and a lot of people talking about it in the comments, Liam, you spoke about it at half-time, the atmosphere. We know there's obviously the banning of the Green Brigade at the moment. I think there was still an element in the stadium, I think maybe mixed in with the boys. They managed to get a banner out towards the board. Look, irrespective, I think, of whichever side of this divide you sit on, and I'm pretty clear, I'm very much that I think the supporters are the lifeblood, and I think the club have the responsibility to try and heal this rift. But what we don't want to see is that the club's focus becomes so much on this kind of authoritarian, let's get rid of the ultras, let's show who's the boss here, that it actually impacts their ability to do what's right from a footballing standpoint at the club. And it is a distraction, and it is an unwelcome deflection away from what should be a time of kind of elation for the supporters, welcoming a new manager, saying goodbye for the second time to an absolute legend, and yet there's still this overarching shadow of the board and many of our supporters being at loggerheads.
It's the saddest part is it's all entirely preventable. I know the Green Brigade are not a group that everybody's behind, right? Personally, I think the charity work they do, the atmosphere they bring to the games, the enthusiasm they generate, to me, that outweighs the negative stuff, such as the pyro and whatever, which, again, there's a debate to be had about that. But the fact is, it's illegal to do it in Scotland at the moment, so it shouldn't be there. But this could all easily be solved. Just the 4 people that are currently under criminal investigation, Celtic have the right to suspend those season tickets until that investigation is concluded. The rest of the people in that section should be given their season tickets back immediately. They should be compensated for the inconvenience that has been put upon them, and Celtic should apologise. That is doing that would immediately diffuse so much of the tension in the room right now. There are other, I would say, much bigger underlying problems to the way Celtic's being run at the moment, but I think the combination of a new manager coming in, who very tellingly has been allowed to bring in his own backroom team, that is a very, very important shift, which I think has kind of flown under the radar because of all this Green Brigade stuff. But I think that's a crucial cultural shift at Celtic. Assuming Nancy has been and his team are allowed to do what they did at the previous club, that's a very positive move, especially in terms of January, in terms of getting players in. Look, I think we're going to win the league regardless. I think we've got enough to get the league over the line regardless of what happens. But it's reassuring that the new manager is being backed, at least in the early days, in that part of it.
Indeed.
But the whole Green Brigade thing, as I say, the board just need to back off. Just calm down. Just sit down, calm down, stop trying to control every minute detail of the narrative, and just accept there are some people out there who don't like you. And no amount of media spin or manipulation is going to change that.
Absolutely.
It's that's the fundamental of it. Just accept that you're not going to be universally popular no matter what you do.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. And I think it is something that will continue to be discussed throughout Acsom as well. Obviously, the appointment of the new manager. But I want to try and end on a bit of a positive. We're almost at time, and I appreciate it's getting late for a few people. So what I'm going to ask each of the contributors, and starting with Sean, is just very briefly tell me your thoughts on Martin O'Neill as he leaves the club for a second time, and how should we express our gratitude for what the man's done?
Well, you kind of preempted me there. I was just going to say thanks, to be honest. He's shown the potential that is in the squad is limited to the extent that is there. So that there's that. So, there was a couple of players that we may have written off that now may maybe not be. So grateful in that sense. And he leaves us he's put Nancy in a really the strongest possible position he could be coming in. Like, he's tied on points at the top of the league with a game in hand. He's got a cup final, and we've got Auchinleck Talbot in the Scottish Cup. So, I think well done, Martin. Thanks for getting us in a great position for the new lad coming in, who has a great chance of success. As good a chance as it could be based on the starting point of where we were in October.
Absolutely great. No, good words. And Kevin, same to you. The opportunity to see what would you say to Martin if you could?
It's the same sentiments as Sean there. It's thank you, honestly. First time around when he came, he built the club back up from, a very bad place there as well. He gave me the greatest moment of my Celtic supporting life when we were in Seville. We got to a European final, something I was never sure I would see in my lifetime, and then we scored in that European final. So, that one's to Henrik, if we ever do a show on him. Thank you for that. But my formative years in, I suppose, that period growing up supporting Celtic, it was magical, and it was all down to Martin O'Neill, and he's been the catalyst for what's happened over the 25 years of this century. It's all been down to him. So it's a big thank you for that, and it's a massive thank you for coming back in when maybe no one else would have. Potential poison chalice after Brendan Rodgers. He's come back in, he's steadied the ship, he's taken us from being, as I said, 8 or 9 points adrift and looking like a lost team to now being joint top. Only goal difference separates us, with a chance to take top spot back by rights at the weekend, and we're in a cup final. So just massive thank you and huge gratitude for all the efforts he's put in. And he is a hero. He's a hero to all of us, I think.
Absolutely. No, completely agree. And Liam, last word to you, mate, on Martin O'Neill.
Just, Martin, thank you. I'm genuinely trying not to get emotional here, but I first became a Celtic season ticket holder in 2000, literally about a week after Martin walked in the door. And I held that season ticket until I moved to Japan 6 years later. But I just remember that day when he walked in and he said, I will do everything I possibly can to bring some success here to the football club. 25 years later, by God, Martin, you've done that and then some. So thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for what success you brought on the pitch. Thank you for always being such a wonderful ambassador for the club, even when you were no longer employed by us. You still continue to advocate for Celtic in your TV work and in your media work and whatever. And I hope it might be the end of your time as manager. I hope it's not the end of your connection to Celtic. I hope that we find some way to give Martin a role in the background that works for him and that allows our new manager, should he choose to do so, to tap into that fountain of knowledge. Thank you, Martin, and I hope our paths continue to cross in the future.
Yeah. I'll just finish off by giving a very short, and Paul John will be shouting at me because we're at 38 minutes, so we will need to finish up. But I was fortunate enough to meet Martin O'Neill twice, both through Acsom, which I'm very, very grateful for. But the second time, I actually got to not only spend a bit of time talking to him on a one-to-one basis, he actually took the time to meet both my parents, which was a huge deal. And honestly, his conduct and in typical Martin O'Neill charm, my mother, God bless her, actually said that, outside of Big Johan Mjällby, who she had a bit of a crush on, Martin O'Neill was a favourite from that time. So Martin O'Neill signed his picture for her, saying, all the nice things, but he actually put on the picture, would you believe, and I don't mind being placed below Big Johan, big handsome guy that he is. So honestly, a real charming man. There's someone else I want to mention. She is a regular Acsom viewer and someone I've had the privilege to meet, and it's a young lady by the name of Laurie, who has managed to recover from some severe health issues. And she's a real warrior herself, her and her family. She actually attended that night with Martin O'Neill, and I've never seen such attention or care shown from anyone that we've met through Acsom, as he did to Laurie that night, and I know she appreciates it to this day. And I think it just sums up who the man is outside of what he's done from a football standpoint. But for me, as I've said in the socials recently, I've been fortunate to see some fantastic managers and some fantastic Celtic alumni in my lifetime. Wasn't old enough, despite the fact I probably look at, to see Jock Stein or the Lisbon Lions, and didn't see those kind of European travails, although, very, very well versed in them now. But from Tommy Burns to Wim Janssen to Brendan Rodgers, who we have to mention as well. But for me, Martin O'Neill is the best manager that I ever, had the privilege or pleasure to witness. And like the lads have said, and I'm sure many people have said in the comments, and I've brought a few of them up, thank you, Martin. And whatever you do between now and the rest of your career, I'm sure you'll absolutely ace it, and we wish you all the best, and I'm sure that's echoed from everyone associated with Acsom. With that said, can I just say thank you to the well over 1,500, I think we're only over 2,000 there on a night. Hope everybody enjoyed Scott Brown's company at Barrazat and Design as well. I've certainly enjoyed being on here tonight with everyone, and it was a pleasure to be able to cover Martin O'Neill's last match for now, as we will never say never, but for now in the dugout, and he certainly departs as a Celtic legend. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to Sean, Liam and Kev, of course, for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, man. Cheers, Chris.
Well.